You've got two types of people: those that understand hypnosis and the power of hypnosis and realize that it's for real. The AMA, I might add, has accepted hypnosis as a medical tool since 1958, which is rather late considering how long it's been around. But the point I want to make is that people do not hallucinate in hypnosis.
Are you afraid of death? Do you wonder what is going to happen to you after you die? Is it possible you have a spirit which came from somewhere else and will return there after your body dies? Or is this just wishful thinking because you're afraid? It is a paradox that humans, alone of all creatures of the earth, must repress the fear of death in order to lead normal lives. Yet our biological instinct never lets us forget this ultimate danger to our being. As we grow older, the specter of death rises in our consciousness. Dying makes all our earthly goals seem futile. The true answers to the mystery of life after death remain locked behind a spiritual door for most people. This is because we have built-in amnesia about our soul identity, which, on a conscious level, aids in the merging of the soul and human brain. In the last years, the general public has heard about people who temporarily died and then came back to life to tell about seeing a long tunnel, bright lights, and even brief encounters with friendly spirits. I am a skeptic by nature. As a counselor and hypnotherapist, I specialize in behavior modification for the treatment of psychological disorders. A large part of my work involves short-term cognitive restructuring with clients by helping them connect thoughts and emotions to promote healthy behavior. Together, we elicit the meaning, function, and consequences of their beliefs because I take the premise that no mental problem is imaginary. In the early days of my practice, I resisted past life requests from people because of my orientation toward traditional therapy. While I used hypnosis and age regression techniques to determine the origins of disturbing memories and childhood trauma, I felt any attempt to reach a former life was unorthodox and non-clinical. The case that opened the door to the spirit world for me was a middle-aged woman who was an especially receptive hypnosis subject. She had been talking to me about her feelings of loneliness and isolation in that delicate stage when a subject has finished recalling their most recent past life. This unusual individual slipped into the highest state of altered consciousness almost by herself. Without realizing I had initiated an overly short command for this action, I suggested she go to the source of her loss of companionship. At the same moment, I inadvertently used one of the trigger words to spiritual recall. I also asked if she had a specific group of friends whom she missed. Suddenly, my client started to cry. When I directed her to tell me what was wrong, she blurted out, "I missed some friends in my group, and that's why I get so lonely on Earth." I was confused and questioned her further about where this group of friends was actually located. "Here in my permanent home," she answered simply, "and I'm looking at all of them right now." How is it possible to reach the soul through hypnosis? Visualize the mind as having 3 concentric circles, each smaller than the last and within the other, separated only by layers of connected mind consciousness. The first outer layer is represented only by layers of connected mind consciousness. The first outer layer is represented by the conscious mind, which is our critical, analytical reasoning source. The second layer is the subconscious, where we initially go into hypnosis to tap into the storage area for all the memories that ever happened to us in this life and former lives. The third, the innermost core, is what we are now calling the superconscious mind. This level exposes the highest center of self, where we are an expression of a higher power. The superconscious houses our real identity, augmented by the subconscious, which contains the memories of many alter egos assumed by us in our former human bodies. The superconscious may not be a level at all, but the soul itself. The superconscious mind represents our highest center of wisdom and perspective, and all of my information about life after death comes from this source of intelligent energy. The travels of souls from time of death to their next incarnation has come to me from a 10-year collection of clients. It surprised me at first that I had people who remembered parts of their soul's life more clearly after distant lifetimes than recent ones. Yet for some reason, no one subject was able to recall the entire chronology of soul activities. My clients remember certain aspects of their spiritual life quite vividly, while other experiences are hazy to them. I find it very rewarding to watch the look of wonder on a client's face when his or her session ends. For those of us who have had the opportunity to actually see our immortality, a new depth of self-understanding and empowerment emerges. Before awakening my subjects, I often implant appropriate post-suggestion memories. Having a conscious knowledge of their soul life in the spirit world and a history of physical existences on planets gives these people a stronger sense of direction and energy for life. We have a great deal of documentation, including observations from medical personnel, which describes the out-of-body near-death experiences of people severely injured in accidents. These people were considered clinically dead before medical efforts brought them back from the other side. Souls are quite capable of leaving and returning to their host bodies, particularly in life-threatening situations where the body is dying. People tell of hovering over their bodies, especially in hospitals, watching doctors perform life-saving procedures on them. In time, these memories fade after they return to life. What are the similarities of afterlife recollection between people reporting on their out-of-body experiences as a result of a temporary physical trauma and a subject in hypnosis recalling death in a past life? Both find themselves floating around their bodies in a strange way, trying to touch solid objects which dematerialize in front of them. Both state they feel a pulling sensation away from the place where they died and experience relaxation and curiosity rather than fear. The following case will take us into the death experience. The subject here is a man in his 60s describing to me the events of his death as a young woman called Sally, who was killed by Kiowa Indians in an attack on a wagon train in 1866. Are you in great pain from the arrow?
Yes, the point has torn my throat. I'm dying. I'm choking, blood pouring down. Will, my husband, is holding me. The pain, terrible. I'm getting out now. It's over anyway.
All right, Sally. You have accepted being killed by these Indians. Will you please describe to me the exact sensation you feel at the time of death?
Like a force of some kind pushing me up out of my body. I'm ejected out of the top of my head.
And what was pushed out?
Well, me.
What does the thing that is you look like going out of the head of your body?
Like a pinpoint of light, radiating.
How do you radiate light?
From my energy, I look sort of transparent white.
And does this energy light stay the same after leaving your body?
I seem to grow a little as I move around.
If your light expands, then what do you look like now?
A wispy string hanging.
Is the feeling unpleasant?
Oh no, it's wonderful to feel so free with no more pain, but I'm disoriented. I didn't expect to die.
I understand, Sally. You are feeling a little displacement at the moment as a soul. Are you able to move around freely right after death?
It's strange. It's as if I'm suspended in air that isn't air. I'm weightless.
You mean it's sort of like being in a vacuum for you?
Yes, nothing around me is a solid mass.
Can you control your movements where you are going?
Yes, I can do some of that, but there is a pulling into a bright whiteness. It's so bright.
How would you describe this thing that is pulling you?
A kind of magnetic force, but I want to stay a little longer.
Can your soul resist this pulling sensation for as long as you want?
Yes, I can, if I really want to stay. Oh, it's awful what those savages did to my body. There is blood all over my pretty blue dress. My husband Will is trying to hold me and still fight with our friends against the Kiowa.
All right, Sally. Now we're going to move forward in relative time again. Do you see your wagon train friends placing your body in some kind of grave?
Yes, they have buried me. It's time for me to go. They are coming for me now. I'm moving into a brighter light.
How should we best prepare for our own death? Our lives may be short or long, healthy or sick, but there comes that time when we all must meet death in a way suited for us. If we have had a long illness leading to death, there is time to adequately prepare the mind once initial shock, denial, and depression have passed. The mind takes a shortcut through this sort of progression when we face death suddenly. As the end of our physical life draws near, each of us has the capacity to fuse with our higher consciousness. Dying is the easiest period in our lives for spiritual awareness, when we can sense our soul is connected to the eternity of time. For thousands of years, the people of Mesopotamia believed the gates into and out of heaven lay at opposite ends of the great curve of the Milky Way, called the River of Souls. After death, souls had to wait for the rising doorway of Sagittarius and the autumn equinox, when day and night are equal. Reincarnation back to Earth could only take place during the spring equinox through the Gemini exit in their night sky. My subjects tell me the soul migration is actually much easier. The tunnel effect they experience when leaving Earth is the portal into the spirit world. Although souls leave their bodies swiftly, it seems to me entry into the spirit world is a carefully measured process. Later, when we return to Earth in another life, the route back is described as being more rapid. You are now leaving your body. See yourself move further and further away from the place where you died, away from the plane of Earth.
At first, it was very bright close to Earth. Now it's a little darker because I have gone into a tunnel. It's a hollow, dim vent, and there is a small circle of light at the other end. I feel it tugging at gentle pulling. I think I'm supposed to drift through this tunnel, and I do. It is more gray than dark now because the bright circle is expanding in front of me. It's as if I'm being summoned forward.
Let the circle of light expand in front of you at the end of the tunnel and continue to explain what is happening to you.
The circle of light grows very wide, and I'm out of the tunnel. There is a cloudy brightness, a light fog. I'm filtering through it.
As you leave the tunnel, what else stands out in your mind besides the lack of absolute visual clarity?
It's so still. It's such a quiet place to be in, and I'm in the place of spirits.
Do you have any other impressions at this moment as a soul?
Thought. I feel the power of thought all around me. I feel thoughts of love, companionship, empathy, and it's all combined with anticipation as if others are waiting for me.
You mentioned cloud-like substances around you right after leaving the tunnel. Are you in a sky over Earth?
No, not that, but I seem to be floating through cloud stuff which is different from Earth.
Can you see the Earth at all? Is it below you?
Maybe it is, but I haven't seen it since I went into the tunnel.
Do you sense you're still connected to Earth through another dimension, perhaps?
Well, that's a possibility. Yes, in my mind, Earth seems close, and I still feel connected to Earth, but I know I'm in another space.
Once through the tunnel, our souls have passed the initial gateway of their journey into the spirit world. Most now fully realize they are not really dead, but have simply left the encumbrance of an earth body which has died. With this awareness comes acceptance in varying degrees depending upon the soul. The most common type of reaction I hear is a relieved sigh, followed by something on the order of, "Oh, wonderful. I'm home in this beautiful place again." I enjoy hearing from subjects about their first images of the spirit world. People may see fields of wildflowers, castle towers rising in the distance, or rainbows under an open sky when returning to this place of adoration after an absence. These first ethereal earth scenes of the spirit world don't seem to change a great deal over a span of lives for the returning soul, although there is variety between client descriptions. I find that once a subject in trance continues further into the spirit world to describe the functional aspects of spiritual life, the comments become more uniform. If a soul has been traumatized by unfinished business, usually the first entity it sees right after death is its guide. These highly developed spiritual teachers are prepared to take the initial brunt of a soul's frustration following an untimely death. New arrivals in the spirit world have little time to float around wondering where they are or what is going to happen to them next. Our guides and a number of soulmates and friends wait for us to provide recognition, affection, and the assurance we are all right. Actually, we feel their presence from the moment of death because much of our initial readjustment depends upon the influence of these kindly entities toward our returning soul. It is important we understand welcoming entities may not be part of our own particular learning group in the spirit world. This is because all the people who are close to us in our lives are not on the same developmental level. Simply because they choose to meet us right after death out of love and kindness does not mean they will all be part of our spiritual learning group when we arrive at the final destination of this journey. You just started to actually leave the Earth's astral plane now and are moving further and further into the spirit world. Is anyone coming to meet you?
Yes, it's my friend Rachel. She is always here for me when I die.
Is Rachel a soulmate who's been with you in other lives, or is she someone who always remains here?
She doesn't always stay here, no. She is with me a lot, in my mind when I need her. She is my own guardian.
Are you locked into male or female attributes during your spiritual existence?
No. As souls, there are periods in our existence when we are more inclined toward one gender than another. Eventually, this natural preference evens out.
Do you and Rachel actually look at each other with eyes in a human way?
Sort of, but different. You see, the mind behind what we take to be eyes, because that is what we relate to on Earth. When you look into a certain person's eyes on the ground, even people you have just met, and see a light you have known before well, that tells you something about them. Your soul remembers.
If your guardian did not project an image of herself in human form to you, would you have known her anyway?
Well, naturally, we can always identify each other by the mind, but it's nicer this way. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a social thing. Seeing a familiar face puts you at ease.
Can you tell me why you and the other souls project certain features at different times?
It depends on where you are in your movements around here when you see another and your state of mind then.
Do you favor projecting a certain set of facial features?
I like the face with the mustache having a rock-hard jaw.
You mean when you were Jeff Tanner, the cowpuncher from Texas?
That's it. And I have had faces like Jeff's in other lives, too.
But why Jeff? Was it just because he was you in your last life?
No, I felt good as Jeff. It was a happy, uncomplicated life. Damn, I looked great.
Do you see souls who have gone to planets other than Earth?
Once in a while.
What features do souls from other planets besides Earth show you?
I kind of stick with my own people, but we can assume any features we want for communication.
Is this ability to transmit features to each other as souls a gift the Creator provided for us based upon spiritual need?
How should I know? I'm not God.
My own conceptions of what it must be like to be alone at the spiritual gateway and beyond is not shared by those souls who utilize the option of going solo. Actually, people in this category are experienced travelers. As older, mature souls, they seem to require no initial support system. They know right where they are going after death. I suspect the process is accelerated for them as well, because they manage to more rapidly wind up where they belong than those who stop to meet others. There are souls who have been so severely damaged, they are detached from the mainstream of souls going back to a spiritual home base. Compared to all returning entities, the number of these abnormal souls is not large. However, what has happened to them on Earth is significant because of the serious effect they have on other incarnated souls. There are two types of displaced souls: those who do not accept the fact their physical body is dead and fight returning to the spirit world for reasons of personal anguish, and those souls who have been subverted by or had complicity with criminal abnormalities in a human body. In the first instance, displacement is of the soul's own choosing, while in the second case, spiritual guides deliberately remove these souls from further association with other entities for an indeterminate period. In both situations, the guides of these souls are intimately concerned with rehabilitation. The troubled spirit is an immature entity with unfinished business in a past life on Earth. They may have no relation to the living person who is disrupted by them. It is true that some people are convenient and receptive conduits for negative spirits who wish to express their querulous nature. This means that someone who is in a deep meditative state of consciousness might occasionally pick up annoying signal patterns from a discarnated being whose communications can range from the frivolous to provocative. These unsettled entities are not spiritual guides. Real guides are healers and don't intrude with acrimonious messages. I turn now to the far more prevalent second type of disturbed soul. These are souls who have been involved with evil acts. Should we first speculate if a soul can be considered culpable or guilt-free when it occupied the offending criminal brain? Is the soul mind or human ego responsible, or are they the same? Occasionally, a client will say to me, "I feel possessed by an inner force which tells me to do bad things." There are mentally ill people who feel driven by opposing forces of good and evil over which they believe they have no control. Does hell exist to permanently separate good souls from bad ones? All my casework with the spirits of my subjects has convinced me there is no residence of terrible suffering for souls except on earth. I am told all souls go to one spirit world after death, where everyone is treated with patience and love. I have also noticed that those beginner souls who are habitually associated with intensely negative human conduct in their first series of lives must endure individual spiritual isolation. Ultimately, they are placed together in their own group to intensify learning under close supervision. This is not punishment, but rather a kind of purgatory for the restructuring of self-awareness with these souls. Most errant souls are able to solve their own problems of contamination. The price we pay for our misdeeds and the rewards received for good conduct revolve around the laws of karma. Perpetrators of harm to others will do penance by setting themselves up as future victims in a karmic cycle of justice. The Bhagavad Gita has a passage which says, "Souls of evil influence must redeem their virtue." The key to growth is understanding we are given the ability to make mid-course corrections in our life and having the courage to make necessary changes when what we are doing is not working for us. By conquering fear and taking risks, our karmic pattern adjusts to the effects of new choices. At the end of every life, rather than having a monster waiting to devour our souls, we serve as our most severe critic in front of teacher guides. This is why karma is both just and merciful. With the help of our spiritual counselors and peers, we decide on the proper mode of justice for our conduct. It is an open question whether a soul should be held entirely at fault for humanity's irrational, unsocialized, and destructive acts. Souls must learn to cope in different ways with each new human being assigned to them. The permanent identity of a soul stamps the human mind with a distinctive character, which is individual to that soul. However, I find there is a strange dual nature between the soul mind and human brain. After those entities who meet us during our homecoming have dispersed, we are ready to be taken to a space of healing. This will be followed by another stop involving the soul's reorientation to a spiritual environment. In this place, we are often examined by our guide. After you leave the friends who greeted you following your death, where does your soul go next in the spirit world?
I am alone for a while, moving through vast distances.
Then what happens to you?
I am being guided by a force I can't see, into a more enclosed space, an opening into a place of pure energy.
What is this area like?
I see a bright, warm beam. It reaches out to me as a stream of liquid energy. There is a vapor-like steam swirling around me at first, then gently touching my soul as if it were alive. Then it is absorbed into me as fire, and I am bathed and cleansed from my hurts.
You don't have a physical body anymore, so how can this energy shower heal a soul?
By reaching into my being. I'm so tired from my last life with the body I had.
Are you saying the ravages of the physical body and the human mind leaves an emotional mark on the soul after death?
Oh God, yes. My very expression, who I am as a being, was affected by the brain and body I occupied.
Even though you are now separated from that body forever?
Each body leaves an imprint on you, at least for a while. There are some bodies I have had that I can never get away from altogether.
Okay, now I want you to finish with your shower of healing and tell me what you feel.
I am suspended in the light. It permeates through my soul, washing out most of the negative viruses. It allows me to let go of the bonds of my last life, bringing about my transformation so I can become whole again.
What do you do now?
When I am restored, I leave here and go to a quiet place to talk to my guide.
The next case has a more in-depth therapeutic spiritual orientation. The exploration of attitudes and feelings with a view to reorienting future behavior is typical of guides. The client is a strong, imposing 32-year-old woman dressed in jeans, boots, and a loose-fitting sweatshirt Hester arrived at my office one day in a state of agitation. She was dissatisfied with her life as a successful real estate broker as being too materialistic and unfulfilling. This client then told me how she had easily manipulated men all her life because there is a male aggression about me which also makes me feel incomplete as a woman. As a young girl, she avoided dolls and wearing dresses because she was more interested in competitive sports with boys. Her masculine feelings had not changed with age, although she had found a man who became her husband because he accepted her dominance in their relationship. In addition, my client complained of headaches on the right side of her head above the ear, which, after extensive medical examinations, doctors had attributed to stress. During our session, I learned this subject had experienced a recent series of male lives, culminating with a short life as a prosecuting attorney called Ross Felden in the state of Oklahoma during the 1880s. As Ross, my client had committed suicide at age 33 in a hotel room by shooting himself in the head. Ross was in despair over the direction his life had taken as a courtroom prosecutor.